All right, welcome to my Epic Buddies, the podcast. And I say podcast because there's other mediums to enjoy this content. There's video, which, of course, YouTube, but Rumble, and I'm my Epic Buddies, and Spotify.com has audio and video content. Let's see, all the regular Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, um, RSS.com has a transcript, a really good one, much better than YouTube's transcripts. And let's see. Yeah, that's it. All right, so it's Saturday. It's Saturday, February 1st. Wow, we're already in the second month. 2025. So I didn't think I was going to post today, right? But there was one thing I wanted to post. Something caught my eye. So I was like, well, if I'm going to post that, let me do others. So we're still on supposedly for tomorrow for a vote on the budget schedule, not schedules, but the amendment to the sometimes it's Article 12, Article 12C, so who knows? But whatever. And it should be the third reading and vote, right? That's what we're hoping for. And I'll tell you why I say hoping. All right, so we'll get right into it. We shan't be long, right? And this is boring. It's another boring one, but it's, if you're a keeper of dots, right? Connecting the dots. Then there's stuff in here that would be dots. Okay. All right. But they kicked off their international fair, and some people are so excited about this, and I have no idea why, because it is the 48th one. They've been doing this every year for almost 50 years. In fact, I even think there was 4 years of ISIS. And I think they did it too in the 4 years they were being, I almost said a word I don't like to say on here. Bothered, hunkered down, uh, captive, being held captive. There we go. By ISIS. So there's really nothing to be excited about, in my opinion. And I'm sure they're hoping one year they'll be able to brag and boast about having their money back at a global acceptance and at a right rate, right? So yeah, this one was called the slogan, right? Investment, development, prosperity. So I do like that. So it says there's participation of 20 Arab and international countries and more than 1,000 local and international companies. Now, Sudani did give a speech, and here's some of what he said in the speech. But also, this article, the same one about the fair, international fair, here's some other titles. Sudani, Iraq is a fertile ground for all economic dreams. Isn't that lovely? Economic dreams. I know they are fertile ground for some of my dreams, right? Anyway, and here's another. Actually, this is part of the speech. It's somewhere in here. But anyway, uh, Sudani says Baghdad is living the best days of its youth in terms of development, economy, and urban renaissance. All right, so then I put some little lines here because those were just headlines. Like I said, those are alternate headlines for the article that just was above it. And then this is a totally different article. Sudani, Iraq's debts have fallen to their lowest levels and investments have exceeded 60 billion dinars. So it's nice to see them talking in terms of dinars, right? Yeah, so if you'd like to read that, you can. It's there. Again, all of these articles are here for free. Oh, yes. So the blog is myfxbuddies.blogspot.com, but I know that's a lot to type. So everywhere that this is posted, if you see an open info intro, details, something like that button, click that button, another box opens, and there's a link directly to the blog. And the blog has everything. The video is there, and the articles are there. That way you can watch the video and follow along with what I'm saying, right? And sometimes, well, I know there's some people who say it's easier to understand and it all makes better sense when they follow along that way. So you don't have to put your email in, you don't have to sign up for nothing, and it's free. All right. So look at this. This is why I'm doing the blog. They're posting this article again. As part of its war on counterfeiting, Iraq enhances the security of its currency with improved marks and printing new banknotes. Okay, but you see here, this is like some AI generated photo or image, whatever. So they're pretty close to what the real notes look like, but that's why they look funny. These aren't any different. They just look a little different because they're not real notes. It's artwork. Okay, but so remember this article came out. Matter of fact, it says right here, January 19th. The Central Bank of Iraq unveiled the security marks of the circulating banknotes with the aim of educating the public, as well as companies and commercial banks that deal with these banknotes on a daily basis. Okay, but there's no big emphasis on, hey, we added these new features for the blind, right? That was the big focus last time. Now it's just out, and it's not out all over the place like the last one was. Remember, they had a full photo, a PDF full of each node, and you could and I might put a link to that because if you're new, welcome if you're new. um and since they're talking about counterfeit dinar in the news, well, and in dinar land, if you're worried, the PDF, you open the PDF and it has all the points, and you can verify your dinar. If you have your dinar, it shows you the security features that your notes should have, depending on the year, right? Because the original 25K notes didn't have some of the features that are there now, right? So that's why you'd have to know what year you're looking at, and don't panic. All right. But yeah, so isn't that interesting? They posted this article again. And it does have a little bit of different information. They talk about British and German companies is where they get their have some of their currency reprinted. But I don't know about that. I think we're the ones that print their currency, right? So I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, yeah, so if you want to read that, it's not as long as the original article either. So yeah, interesting that is out. All right, and then look here. I'm always telling people, people don't believe me, which is okay. But I'm always saying it's not only the rate that has to change. Well, that's great. The rate will change for the money, right? For the currency, for Forex. But for the businesses to come in, there's some laws that need to be revamped or just initiated altogether. Laws about blackmail, extortion, double taxation, laws that the money that's being proportioned or whatever for this project, it's only going to go to that project. Um, yeah. So here we have in black and white an economic expert, Mashadani. The Iraqi market is centralized and 40 investment laws need to be reviewed and amended. See, reviewed and amended. So that's because they've been sitting already voted on and done. They've been sitting waiting to go for years, right? So yeah, so I like that. I'm happy to see that. He said it is a complex problem. It's not limited to, well, here, let me read the whole sentence. Um, Economic expert Abdul Rahman Mashadani confirmed today, Friday, that the problem facing foreign investors in Iraq is not limited to the security and political situation only, but rather it is a complex problem. So see all the things they have to deal with? Security, excuse me, competition, right? Um, I'm gonna post tomorrow just to let you know if they voted or not. But there's a couple of articles about China that are very interesting. But I want to make sure this post stays under 30 minutes, so I didn't include them here. But yeah, they're starting to have trouble with China, um, and I believe they probably started sooner, but they're just now feeling comfortable with putting it in the news. So anyway, um, that's so I said competition, and then the laws. These laws, there are paragraphs in these laws related to the economy in general. Iraq government is moving towards a capitalist economy and following a market economy according to the principle of supply and demand, which means that the government cannot interfere in all economic details. The current laws were enacted a long time ago and are not compatible with the nature of the current stage. Yeah, so I like that. All right, here is uh, how you say that the way you want to say that. He is a political analyst. Iraq pays the region's debts to American companies under external pressure. So here's a little bit of that Kurdistan mix up with American companies, who's paying, who's not paying, right? So this is just a short article. So here's another economic expert, Hamdani. I I know it's silly, but the first three letters of his name spell ham. Okay, economist. Washington's policies towards Iraq prevented the revival of its financial resources. I know, I know. There's one guy, I remember him because his last name is Salami. And then I remember this guy because the first three letters of his last name are Ham. All right. Alrighty. So, um, he confirmed on Saturday the United States, since its occupation, right? That's interesting wording, of Iraq in 2003 until now, has been following an economic policy that has transformed the economic recovery and made its fate linked to financial policy of the U.S. Federal Reserve. So he's saying we're stifling them. And we are, right? It's not us. It's not the people who are actually doing it. We don't know their names, but when you, especially if you've read or listened to the economics, excuse me, the confessions of an economic hitman, you'll see what we do. But I say we, but it's really the West, because I know everyone thinks the president is the most powerful man in the world, but no, there's parties over him that tell him what to do, and the ones who go along live out nice, healthy lives. And the ones that don't go along with their plan, well, wasn't there just some documents unclassified, declassified? Anyway, yeah, so all right. But yeah, so the last paragraph, the United States of America continues to dominate Iraq through political, security, and economic agreements that Washington sets out according to what primarily serves its interests. So that's what we need. We need a change. But do we really want to give up that power? The American administration has sought to circumvent political agreements in order to block the path of parties trying to rid the country of their control over Iraqi oil sales money. And we do indeed control that, right? Remember, their oil money goes directly to an account where? Here in America, the New York Federal Reserve account that also goes through the Treasury, right? So that's why it's, how can they say they're sovereign when 98, 95, 90, whatever percentage you want to use of their revenue comes from oil, and that money goes directly to us, and then we send it to them? That's not sovereign. But anyway, here's my one commercial. If you like what I'm doing and you want to send me a little gift, which some of you have, thank you, thank you. This is a link. Buy Me a Coffee is a link, and then this is a QR code. They both go to the same place, but some people like QR codes, some people like links. All right. They're telling us about their reserves again. Iraq's dollar reserves exceed $100 billion. And this guy, I remember him because I think it's funny. His last name is Antoine. He's got two very Arabic names, and his last name is Antoine. But he's an economic expert, and he revealed the reserves. So also talked about the gold reserves. Sorry, my mouse is not acting right. These assets must be converted into production in the economic and private sectors to create job opportunities for the unemployed and reduce poverty rates, stressing the need for local reliance in production and not resorting to imports. So they need to export more. They need to get people working. It sounds like something we need to do, right? But yeah, so, and this is coming from Mohammed Saleh. There's this name right there. So again, trying to reassure the citizens who they see a different picture than what he paints, right? They live daily. They have to buy stuff daily. And he's probably rich. He's probably considered elite and rich. All right. And then also they have this out. Iraq imports over 50 kilograms of gold daily. So they, well, they actually do. They price gold every day too. I just don't report it. But, and they actually have had an all-time high, for the price of their gold. But this specific gold comes through airports. It's only 5 airports, and they're listed here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they do, at the airports, they have places where it's called a gold inspection center. So how is that how the gold gets to the CBI? I don't know. And if you're here in America, there's a very interesting story about gold in New York. You should look into that. All right. Agreement between blocs to vote on amending the budget law. Yes, they have agreed. Sudani brought them to his house or whatever, the government palace, whatever, and was like, just vote on it. Don't make any changes. Just vote. And they're like, yes, yes, sir. We will vote. However, even Maliki, Even Maliki is backing him up and saying, don't you try to circumvent this political process. You better go along with the program. I know I've been interfering all this time, but I'm on board now, so you need to be on board now. And as usual, here's the total opposite. A member of Parliament expects Parliament to fail to hold its session tomorrow, Sunday, and reveals the reasons. Who cares, right? But there they are if you want to read them. There's some words in there. It's these same people, the center and south. Yeah, so we'll see. That's why I said I know for certain I'll post tomorrow just to let you know if they vote or not. Tomorrow, the Iraqi parliament votes on the Kurdistan region's oil article by amending 2 paragraphs. So we shall see. There, Article 12 of the General Budget Law. This is Jamal Cougar, even though they have clearly spelled his name differently in this article. And then the second paragraph stipulates that if the federal and regional governments do not agree on the cost of production and transportation, the Ministry of Oil shall choose a party to determine these costs. And remember, we were on a 60-day countdown for them to choose that person. So I think we're 30 days into the 60. But yeah. All right. And let's see. I think we're almost done. Oh, so here's more about the oil and budget disputes costs, right? And they're saying that ultimately it costs Kurdistan citizens because things are delayed. Some of them still have not gotten paid. Their living condition has gone down, even primarily since the what does George Gavin call it? The cerveza sickness. If you know, cerveza is beer in Spanish. Anyway, yeah. So Baghdad had stopped sending the region's share, and they're still, that's my phone, they're still having issues, blaming, no, we said we sent it. Well, you didn't send this, so we didn't send it, right? They're still going back and forth. So this is lengthy, but it explains very good in detail. I know that was bad grammar. Remember I was saying connecting the dots? This article has a lot of dots in it regarding the dispute of oil between Kurdistan and Baghdad. All right. So here, Kurdistan smuggles oil and Baghdad pays the price. When will the unfair equation end? Even when Kazemi was in, and remember he was only there for a year, he would direct Baghdad to pay Kurdistan, and they'd be like, well, they didn't send in their numbers, so we don't know what to pay them. And he'd say, just pay them whatever they're asking. But he was trying to move things ahead, right? Um, I'll never forget that. Anyway, sorry that I'm laughing because it's just so. I mean, we don't have these issues, right, in our country. We don't have them because we're one country, right? These are 2 countries trying to run as one, and that's why they're having these problems. And one, it seems, the more that I read, it seems the Kurds may be a little crooked. I don't know. I hate to say that because I'm just reading the article, right? But you hear the people, saying, that they're crooked, right? And that's why they don't want that system, the system where their salaries have to go. It's called My Account. Their salaries have to go to the banks, and they're like, okay, well, give us uh, the Iraqi banks, the Rashid or Rafadan rather, and the Trade Bank of Iraq, because we don't want to go through the banks that the ruling families have control over, right? So, yeah, anyway, so this is a little shorter article, beneficiaries of smuggling. And it says the first and last beneficiary is the Kurdistan Regional Government. And then here it says how Baghdad is affected. So if you want to read that, I know a lot of people don't. And like, I've been reading these for years, but I just kind of glance over. But here, they're at the same time, Washington has not exerted any serious pressure on Erbil to stop illegally exporting oil. But oil is so manipulated around the world, period. The oil market is so manipulated. All right, and then here, parliamentary finance, $4 billion owed by the region and has not been transferred to Baghdad. So see, Baghdad saying, we sent you money, but we held back $4 billion because I think they want, it just says indicating there are violations related to the failure to transfer the due amounts. And it's usually they didn't send. So remember, the Kurds are supposed to send money they get from oil sales to Baghdad with information, right? Who they sold oil to, how much, the price that was paid. That information is supposed to go to Baghdad, and then Baghdad is supposed to reimburse them after they reconcile the information that was sent. So you see how, I was going to say a word that's not nice. How that can be difficult and can cause delays. Yeah. So, all right. And then I think this is the last article. Yes, we have another article about Venezuela in Iraq's news. This is coming from Iraq's news. I'm not sure why there's so much space there. So if you're looking at this on your phone, you're going to have to scroll down. There's a lot of empty space between that last article and this. Venezuela releases 6 Americans after meeting between Maduro and Trump, the T-Man's envoy. And I think this guy's a doctor. He's wearing scrubs, right? And this one too. I think they're all doctors. Let's see. 6 American citizens who were detained in Venezuela. Oh, maybe they took their clothes, right? They debriefed them or something. Anyway. Yeah. So, there's more. There's what was the other article? That we get oil from Venezuela, more oil than I ever knew, right? And now here they're working deals to release hostages. So my faith in possibly exchanging the Venezuelan money is increasing, right? So yeah. And I'm not being political. Like I said, I'm putting this here because it's Venezuela. It was in Iraq's news. And I'm just thinking this is possibly part of an arrangement that will allow us to exchange the bolivar. All right, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed your Saturday. And like I said, I will post again tomorrow. I don't know what time, but probably later in the day to give you a break, a breather from having to listen. But anyway, so enjoy the rest of your evening. Accumulate while we wait for the rate to appreciate. Don't miss any meals and pay all your bills. Thank you for listening. Your time is valuable and important, and that's why I like to be precise and don't waste your time or mine, but still get this information to you. So, If there's a join, like, follow, subscribe button of that nature, wherever you are enjoying this content, take whatever action is necessary to activate that. And that way, when I do update, if all things work as they're intended, you'll be notified. All right, enjoy the rest of your morning, night, noon, whatever time frame you're enjoying this content. And until tomorrow or next time.